And questions for Jaylen?
Jaylen, how are you feeling? And we've talked a lot about inconsistencies and things. And do you think that it could be some residual effects from COVID?
I think so. I've noticed in the last, couple of days, 4 games for me now, my body hasn't recovered the same. In a sense, I've been talking to our medical staff about that. Like, I feel great. And then it feels like instead of playing 1 game, it kind of feels like I played 3. And I'm used to my body responding and recovering a lot faster. I know I just turned 25. I'm like, but this can't be what it looks like on the other side.
We are not the right crowd to talk to about that.
I think that, yeah, and I talked to them, and that definitely is a side effect or a symptom. My breathing was more of my concern, and I'm breathing fine, but I'm just not recovering as fast as I would like. And I'm having some joint pains, and that's a part of COVID as well. So I think that some increased joint pain. So I think that is a part of it. And as I continue to fight through it and continue to play more games and get the right stuff into my system, it'll get better. Right now, it has been inconsistent. I think that's obvious, but my body hasn't felt the same.
Have you talked to Jason or anyone else about experiencing the same symptoms or dealing with that stuff and how they handled it?
Yeah, I think it affects everybody a little bit differently. I think Jason, he said more of his breathing was more of his concern, like he had an inhaler. I didn't really need an inhaler. I really focused on my breathing when I was in quarantine, but my recovery has kind of not been the usual kind of recovery. Like, I usually go through a routine, and that routine works. It's money. I've been doing it for a couple of years. Even after a hard game, I do my routine, and then I should be fine. And I still have some lingering joint pain. I still have some, fatigue in my body, and I think that COVID is probably one of the main reasons.
So is the plan to kind of try and switch that up, try something new, or continue with that and hope to push through?
Really, really push through, focus, like change my routine, increase whatever I need to do, make whatever sacrifices. But I got to get, over the hump to get to my body where I could feel like Jaylen. I haven't felt like Jaylen out there every single game. And that's what I want to do. That's what the medical staff wants to strive for. They want me to feel good, whether I make or miss shots, that's whatever. But just running up and down the court unimpeded is what I'm more focused on.
Last one for me, sorry. But when we talked to you during the preseason, you told us you were actually looking forward to facing some adversity with this group and see how you handle it. Is it a little too early for that?
It's never too early I think that there's obvious things that we need to continue to get better at. And, as we are all coming back together, today we had a good practice, focusing on the details again, going back to just to simplifying everything. So now that we can have a better understanding, but it's never too early for adversity. You can't time it. You can't predict it. It just happens and you got to respond. So I am looking forward to it. This is a part of the journey as we all are coming together. Obviously, it's a lot of expectations, et cetera. But at the end of the day, we got to just come out and play basketball. It's only 5 games in, but, there is an urgency behind that. There is an urgency to clean up. We know what Celtics basketball look like, and our losses came more from effort and energy rather than like X's and O's, et cetera. So I take a lot of that responsibility as I'm trying to navigate getting back. It's only been 7 days since I've been out of quarantine, and I came back right away. But a lot of that responsibility is on me. No excuses.
Ime said that it was mind-boggling the way you played against Charlotte in New York versus the way you played against Washington. How do you take comments like that? And kind of what was your reaction when you saw what he'd said?
I didn't see it. I didn't see it. Ime came and talked to me about it and yesterday, and it didn't bother me. Like, it's mind-boggling to me too. Like, I was surprised that my body didn't respond the way it normally responds. Like, I'm usually able to have that zip, that pop flying up and down the court, and it just wasn't there. So I think that was obvious. I don't think he was out of line or anything for that. So I got to be better, and I got to get with my medical staff and figure how to get, my body to the point where I recognize it where I feel normal. Like some days I feel fantastic, and then it's like 2, 3 days. It takes my body too long to get back to feeling fantastic again, and that's an issue for me. So as I navigate that, we got to still tighten up on the details, tighten up on our defense, and still find a way to win games. And even though I don't feel the same on the court, I can still be better in certain areas and detailed in certain areas. And that's more of the conversation that we have.
Obviously, Ime's tone is a little different than Brad's in some cases. How do you like the honesty, or not like the honesty? How do you feel about the honesty that he's used to kind of critique you guys after bad outing?
What's the question again?
How do you feel about the honesty he's used, kind of like the blunt honesty that he's used after some rough outing?
I think Brad was honest. I don't think that Brad was not honest. I think Brad was honest too. And Brad might have, tried to, I think Brad probably took the blame in a lot of issues and things like that, because that's the type of coach he was, especially in the media and things like that. But I think Brad was honest in a lot of his interpretations of the game. So they just different coaching styles, I guess.
But when Ime is honest with you guys and talks to us, I mean, how do the players take that?
I can't speak for everybody else, but I think fine. I think that we have a good understanding of each other. There's a lot that goes into being with a new group, but at the end of the day, we're all men. We can all talk to each other, and issues can get resolved a lot easier, that way by communicating with each other rather than, hearing about it in the media, et cetera, sometimes. So I think just communication as we continue to improve, I think we'll be fine. I think we'll be fine.
Jaylen, when you are on the court, like let's say against Washington, and it's the first quarter and you don't feel right, like how do you mentally deal with that? Did you just try to push through? You go to Ime, or do you say, like, I maybe put someone else in? Like, how do you kind of feel when you got 3.5 quarters to go and you don't feel like yourself?
First, I let the medical staff know. Like last game, I let the medical staff know, so they're aware. And most of the time, they just say push through. It'll get better over time, is what they're saying. Even from the last home game to the one previously before that, I feel a little bit better. Still not myself, but it'll continue to get better. And that's what I'm thinking as I focus more on my regimen and my diet or whatever else I need to do to make sure that I get back to what I need to do. I'm going to do, but for the most part, from my understanding, is just to push through. I can still affect the game in different ways, and my frustration is with my body more than anything.
I think he had 10 points in the fourth quarter. Did you feel better in the fourth quarter?
I did. I started to feel a little bit better. So, like, I think it continues to even itself out, and I have faith. I don't have a doubt in my mind. Like, I'll be able to be myself for every game and for longer periods of time. I just gotta work through this initial stint. I came back right away. I didn't even give myself time to get back, into the flow of things after quarantine, et cetera. And at times I feel fine. Like I said, like I feel good right now. And then it's at times where I feel like I played 3 games instead of playing 1.
And there's been focus and talk about the focus and the effort. Like Al said it, Ime said it. As one of the leaders, what can you guys do? Can you do personally to get the guys to play a full 48? Because it seems like it's been up and down.
Yeah, for sure. Having good practices, good shoot-arounds are a part of it. Like today was a good practice where focus was an emphasis to make sure all the detours were taken care of. Being communicative, talking through a lot of different things, so we can hold each other accountable. I think that's at the end of the day, what's important. We need to be able to have, we need to be able to look each other in the eye and know who made the mistake or where we need to improve at. And I think in the first couple of games, we didn't necessarily have that dynamic. We were all kind of looking around at each other. But as we get more confident in the system, confident in our switching and details, we'll be able to know and identify exactly what needs to change for sure. But the thing that should not change is our effort and our energy. And so we got to get better at that.
We'll wrap it up right there. Thank you, Jaylen.
Thank you.